What's good YouTube, my name is Roman Taylor and welcome back to my channel, and first of all thanks for clicking on the new video. So as you can see from the title, today's topic is going to be home ab training and what exercises you can do at home to finally get the core or the abs you always wanted. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. I briefly want to talk about the difference, at least for me, between core and ab exercises. So abs exercises are strictly what you want to do to achieve that nice six-pack kind of look. So what you see when you look on body fat percentage, you can see like the six-pack abs, the obliques and everything. While the core is more like with exercises that keeps the upper body stable, everything that involves a lot of rotation. You need to keep like the core tight and engaged. Maybe you also activate the glutes. So for example, if you do like a plank exercise where you do some rotational stuff, your core is actually working, like a lot of ab muscles are working to keep you straight. Or for example, you would do something like a mountain climber. That for me is more kind of like core exercises, whereas ab exercises are something like a crunch, a Russian twist, and anything that nature is actually very static, and we just perform a specific kind of movement. So with any muscle, before we train it, we really want to understand what is the function of it and where does it originate and where does it insert to, because it helps us choose an according exercise that also matches like the function of the muscle. So if you don't know what origin and insertion is, it's just a term for where does the muscle start and where does it attach to. So for example, the six-pack, or like the rectus abdominis, which is called, it originates from the rib cage and the sternum, and it goes down to your pubis, or like your pubic bone. So the muscle itself is actually way longer than what you can see. It has a lot of different functions, but two functions of it is that it either brings a rib cage down to your pelvis, like your hip, or it brings the hip up to the rib cage. We want to choose an exercise where the resistance profile of the exercise matches also the functionality, or like the function of the muscle itself. First exercise is going to be a reverse crunch. Just like most people, or in the case of myself, I have underdeveloped lower abs, so I want to hit this first when I'm still fresh, I have the most energy. And why do I choose a reverse crunch over, for example, a leg raise like most people would do? It's simply because it doesn't hit the lower abs that well. I'm gonna put in a clip right here where you can see me performing leg raises, and as you can see, my legs are just going up and down, and actually I don't have that much ab involvement going on. As I just told you, we want to bring the pelvis to the rib cage, but actually my hips are not moving at all. So this is actually the iliopsoas muscle, which pulls the legs up to the body, to the upper body, and not the abs that are performing anything here. So the reverse crunch is actually quite an easy movement. You just want to lay on the floor with your back, and you're going to feel that your back is going to make like a natural curve. You want to push your back actively against the floor to engage the abs more. Then you want to bend your knees, or like bend your legs, so you get the feet closer to the body. And then what you want to do is like a very controlled swinging motion where you bring the knees up to your upper body. And you don't have to over exaggerate this movement, because you will feel the moment where you bring the knees too close to your body and your hip goes too much up from the floor, it's actually your back, like different muscles that are pushing you up instead of your abs. So the movement itself is actually very slow, but you always want to make sure that you don't change the angle of like how your legs are bent, but simply just slowly bring your legs controlled, like your knees controlled to your upper body, and then lower them again. And while you're lowering the legs again, you want to make sure that your back isn't coming off the floor. And if you do this, you should feel this in your lower abs. So the second exercise is going to be your standard crunch. Like I said, you want to choose an exercise that also fits the function of the rectus abdominis, or like the muscle you want to train. And before, like I said, it's either bring the hips to the rib cage, or now we bring the rib cage to the hips. What I like to do with the crunch is, instead of like just laying flat on the back and with like the feet on the floor, I like to elevate them. For in my case, on my couch, you can choose just like a chair, whatever fits, whatever you have in your room. Just elevate your feet so you get that nice L shape, because it helps you with actively pushing your back against the floor and engaging your abs. One thing you should keep in mind is that you don't want to push your neck forward, because that puts a lot of strain onto it. So instead of like pushing the neck forward, always keep it neutral and literally just crunch up a bit with the upper body. You don't want to lose like connection from your back from the floor, because you don't want to mimic like a sit-up where you bring the whole upper body up like to your legs. It's simply just crunching in a bit, breathing out while you perform this exercise. So if you go to the top, you breathe out, fully contract the abs, and then you slowly lower yourself down. You see a lot of people doing this like crazy fast, but I would say rather do less reps but make quality reps. Really focus on getting the contraction in the abs, and that's already it. So now that the rectus abdominis is out of the way, we want to talk about the side of our abs. I know there are like a lot of different muscles like the serratus and whatnot, but we're just going to talk about the obliques here because they give this nice look. And it's also kind of hard to say like this specific exercise is just simply hitting the obliques and this one isn't. So again, you want to make sure that you know what is the function, the origin, and the insertion of a muscle. So with the obliques, I don't want to get too much into the anatomy here, but just simply know that the obliques are coming from both sides of your rib cage. So one time it goes from like the left side of my rib cage down to my hip, and then again, and also from the other side, it goes from like the right side of my rib cage down to my hip. And the function of this muscle, as you can already imagine, is just simply helping turn our upper body. If you think about it, most people would say like just do a Russian twist, but with the Russian twist, it's like, where is the resistance? You just put your feet up and then you turn your upper body from left and right, but there's like no resistance at all for your obliques. It's just simply like holding your legs up and twisting your upper body. I would do a wood chopper or like a wood chopping exercise. I know for this one you do need an elastic band, but it's actually pretty cheap and it's worth the investment. And when you do this exercise, you want to make sure that you attach the band to a bit higher point. As you just saw, the obliques are actually following a diagonal line and they're not like horizontal. So you also want to do the wood chopping exercise in this diagonal line. In my case, the point where I attach the band to is not high enough. So that's the reason why I have to go down on my knees. But if your point where you can attach the band to is high enough, feel free to do it standing. What I do is I get into this L shape with my legs again. I actively focus on contracting my abs, like squeezing my glutes to have a stable and like engaged upper body, and then just simply straighten your arms. You don't have to fully straighten them, you can bend the elbows a little bit, but you want to make sure that the angle of your arms isn't changing. And then, for example, you would start from the right upper side and you go down to the left lower side. So you follow this line of your obliques, and you would do this for both sides. So you would have to like switch positions, but then again, you want to make sure that your hip is never moving, so it's like super locked in, and you're always just twisting with the upper body. Again, it also helps breathing. So when you go down from like the top to the bottom, fully exhale on the bottom of the movement and then inhale again. So the last exercise is going to be the vacuum. And I know this isn't training any of your visible abs, but it does hit the transverse abdominis, which is a muscle that is lying very deep within the different layers of the abs, and it does help with expiration and the abdominal pressure. And I feel like doing the vacuum also gives you a very good mind-muscle connection. It's just easier to hit the abs. And if you're into old school bodybuilding like I am, it just gives you that cool look that, for example, Frank Zane just mastered. But it's also just a very good overall exercise that complements the rest of these exercises. How to do the vacuums? You simply just want to again lay down with your back on the floor, because it's easier in the beginning, or as a beginner, because gravity is helping you a bit here. So just again, it's also easier if you bend the legs, and then you want to fully exhale all the air you have to like the last little bit, and then you want to kind of suck your belly button in. Most people say that's how you perform the exercise. It's actually very hard to give good cues on this one. You will kind of have to learn it in the beginning, because I think the biggest error in the beginning is what most people do is they fully exhale the air, and then when you want to suck in the belly button, they fully inhale again. But it's not working if you put air again into your lungs, because you cannot get that vacuum going on. So just really make sure that you fully exhale, and while doing the vacuum, you don't inhale any air. It's very hard in the beginning, it's very hard to learn this one, but once you do, it just gets easier and easier. I quickly want to talk about sets, rep ranges, and then tempo. So it really depends on how developed your abs already are and what kind of training state you are. Because if you're a true beginner, you can get away with just like 2 sets of like 10 reps or something instead of the vacuum that comes with seconds. But if you're more developed, you want to do like maybe 3 or 4 sets and do like 15 to 20 reps. But you want to make sure that when it gets too easy for you, for example, you could do like 30 reps of every exercise of like 4 sets. You want to add some weight to it. For example, for the reverse crunch, you can get one of those ankle weights, just attach it to your ankle. Or for the for the normal crunch, just put some weights in front of you, so you make the exercise a bit harder. So if you're just starting out, you could do this just like 2 times a week. But then if you get stronger and stronger, you can do this like 3 times, 4 times. Tempo, it's actually like for every exercise except the vacuum, it's like a 2-1-2. So we'd always follow the movement of like, for example, you would do wood choppers. It's like 1, 2, you hold it for 1 second, and then it's a 1, 2, and the way up again. So you always want to do this really slow and controlled, and you always want to contract the abs with every single rep. So this is, guys, I hope you found this informative. So if you have still any questions about the ab training, just leave a comment down below or just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I gladly answer all your questions. So if you enjoyed the video, I would highly appreciate if you leave a thumbs up, maybe subscribe to the channel, and otherwise I'll see you in the next one.